Was it the bird? Was it the great elk of the north?
Was it the sea monster?
Was it the massive rabbit of the east? Or was it the sea monster of the south? This time we are going to talk about Gandalf and the Southlands. So let me cue this up right here, guys.
While he's doing that, I would like to register my protest. I have no desire to talk about this storyline in the slightest. I would like us to complete a video in season 2 and never discuss the dirty little sociopaths or not Gandalf.
So, is it like season 1 where like nothing happens? They just walk and walk.
Oh, they came upon. They were walking. So Gandalf and Nori were walking over into the Southlands or further east because it smelled better that way. Remember?
Follow your nose. Right.
Poppy decides she can't leave them alone, so she stumbles. She follows them and joins them again.
Okay.
Gandalf is taken by finds Tom is separated from them through an event. He finds Tom Bombadil. The two other dirty little sociopaths find the Stewards, not the Harfoots, the Stewards who we affectionately call the Sewers.
Yeah.
So
there's a new race of dirty little sociopaths
that now live in caves and mountains, essentially, or caves in small chasms. So here we have Gandalf. We left Gandalf in the last episode, standing above a valley full of dead trees, where Tom Bombadil said, "Don't go save your friends. Go get your staff instead, because the fate of the world depends upon it."
Right.
So apparently he went down into this chasm of trees.
Wait.
I love the confusion.
So in the book, I know this doesn't have anything to do with the Rings of Power, but in the book, Tom Bombadil, his main characteristic is he does not care at all about the things going on around him.
Well, as they say,
all he cares about is land and just, they offer him the ring and he doesn't care about the ring.
As Patrick McKay said, they've changed Tom Bombadil about 5%. I think
5%?
5%.
And by 5%, you mean 105%.
Yeah.
That's what he means.
So yes, he cares. He is the Obi-Wan, essentially.
So he is the Obi-Wan.
The Dumbledore.
I'm so angry that we finally got Tom Bombadil in a show or a movie or an adaptation, and then this is what we get.
Oh yeah.
So we leave Gandalf. Apparently he's looking for his staff here at some point somehow, but he stumbles on the so dark it's hard to see in the screen.
Yeah, everything it's terrible.
He stumbles on the place where the hobbits were, where the Harfoots, the dirty little sociopaths were.
Yep. So I wrote in my notes, Gandalf. And by the way, it's a shout out to Gary from Nerdrotic, because he got me in that. It's not Gandalf, it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
So Gandalf. How does he find the village? How do you find anything in the dark? And then Sorcerer Tim comes along, and that's from us. So we've now named. So there's a new Ishtar in town. I don't know if you knew that. He's called the Dark Wizard, and everyone calls him the Dark Wizard. He has no name, and he's apparently been taught by Tom Bombadil as well.
Think of him as like Obi-Wan, who was there for Anakin, and Anakin turned out bad, so the Dark Wizard turned out bad. Now Tom Bombadil is going to redeem himself by training Gandalf, a.k.a. Luke Skywalker, to take out the Dark Wizard that he trained before.
So he meets the Dark Wizard. The Dark Wizard also walks into the sewers.
He happens to be there for some reason.
Right, just shows up. Right. And he says he knows apparently all of the names of everybody. Like he knows all these details. Like, how does he know? I mean, but we call him Sorcerer Tim because if you've ever seen stills of the Dark Wizard, he looks actually. You mind if I put in the Holy Grail? There's a wizard. And it's like, some call me Tim.
Yes.
Do you remember? Remember Tim?
Yeah.
So this is Sorcerer Tim, and he has, instead of his beard is the same, and it's wispy black and white, and he's got this crazy look to him, and it's great.
He just needs the helmet with the thing.
He doesn't have the helmet with the horns. He's going to find that in a later episode. So but as of now, so
the Dark Wizard is here. He comes in, and they just happen to meet up in this place. Why again? And he's there, and he talks to Gandalf. He calls him old friend, and he talks about, you're the one that convinced me to come to Middle Earth.
So in 30 seconds, he explains like the whole mystery box is ta-da! Gandalf was living in Valinor with the Dark Wizard, and Gandalf convinced the Dark Wizard to come to Middle Earth, And
by the way,
he came a long time ago. Yeah,
we've been calling him Gandalf the whole episode. Like,
so the whole mystery box was basically that Gandalf just couldn't remember.
Right, he still can't remember.
For 2 seasons, it's I don't know what's going on.
Yep,
and that's the show.
It's Hobo
stumbling
Gandalf,
around. I don't know what's going on. Yep. Can anybody help me, please? Please, sir, may I have another?
Yep,
right. That's the whole time.
He's a walking mystery box.
He's
to himself.
So yes,
he's one of the unhoused.
So ultimately, what they're trying to say: one, the Dark Wizard is definitely an Istar. He's definitely either Saruman or a Blue Wizard at this point.
He's
probably
Palando.
Palando.
I think Palando.
Which is the name of Saruman when he's on.
No, Palando and Alatar are the,
you're right,
two Blue Wizards. So he said one of the.
You think so?
Probably Alatar, because he's the greater of the Blue.
I bet it's going to be Saruman. I don't think they have. I think it's got to be Saruman, dude. Like they wouldn't go after any no name.
Maybe they couldn't. They can't. Can they even use the Blue Wizards?
Are they in the
appendices?
I think they're in the appendices.
I think they are, but
I bet it's going to be Saruman.
Yeah.
Like the way his mannerisms, the way he talks, the way he stands. Like I think it's going to be like they're going to make him look like Saruman from there, and he's going to get all white eventually. So he has now Nori and Poppy are held by the greatest trackers of the East. These guys who we don't know anything about, but they wear masks because they're so ugly on the inside.
Oh, okay.
They're like straight out of Star Wars.
Okay.
They're the what are the people called that wear the masks? The
stormtroopers?
No, the desert people.
Tusken Raiders.
Tusken Raiders. Thank you. So these are the Tusken Raiders of Middle Earth.
So they're holding Nori and Poppy, and he's like, I kept them safe. And then these trackers are holding a knife up to them. And he said, the Dark Wizard says to them, they must not be, I told you they must not be harmed. He gets angry. The other tracker says, we're not leaving until we get what you promised us. And so he just goes, throws him up against the wall. The guy dies. And then the other tracker dudes just bail too. They're like, and run away.
What did he promise them?
Nothing. We don't know. Oh, to have their life back, to have their face back, to have their healing. I think that's what they said, isn't it? I don't know. In any case, so
they definitely don't tell us here. And so Tusken Raiders are gone, and now the Dark Wizard, Sorcerer Tim, decides to explain to them that Gandalf needs to join with him now, because that's the only way, and that they're going to defeat Sauron. And Eleanor says, why I don't trust you, because you just killed your own people, essentially. And he goes, you have pity on these? Do you think pity will save you from Sauron?
Pity will not defeat Sauron.
Pity will not defeat Sauron. And as a lesson, I'm going to leave and come find me when you're ready to face the truth, basically. And as a parting gift, as Sorcerer Tim walks out, he pulls like a whole cliffside of rocks and just drops it on the village.
Just let's not forget, though, that he does say at one point, join me and together we can rule the galaxy together as father and son.
That's right. That's right.
But he says it by saying, walk with me and in time we will both be Sauron's successors.
Right. Because Gandalf is insisting, like, are you trying to replace Sauron or defeat him? And he's like, well, we'll both be successors to Sauron.
So join me.
So Gandalf says no, and so Sorcerer Tim walks off and drops a whole cliffside on the village. And this was actually one of the lighter and happier moments of the show for me. I literally watched a bunch of dirty little sociopaths get crushed by boulders. I mean, they actually die. Like boulders actually fell on them, and then Gandalf saves the rest of them by holding the boulders. But there were some DLSs that died, so I cheered.
That was good.
Yeah.
And I think, is that it? Yeah.
They didn't die. They just had minor injuries, and then they were left to die.
Well, I'm sure there's some of those too.
As we learn, you can be stabbed through the gut, and then by the next morning, you can be a completely fine, 100% solid warrior, elven warrior that has no after effects at all. And he wasn't even wearing a ring. Rings are supposed to heal you. By the way, rings are also healing. They heal everything.
Rings do everything.
Anyway. Boy, is that really how the Gandalf storyline ended? That's where my notes ended. I guess so.
Yeah. Wow. One of the things that I said about the DLSs is.
Oh wait, no, there is more in the future. Sorry. Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, are you talking about the ending credits?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that he said was that Gandalf, when he goes to save them, and he suspends a bunch of the boulders. So he's just met up with Eleanor again, right? Mm-hmm. With Nori. And he's saving them from the rocks, And we have this moment where he turns to her, and I thought he was going to say, "It's good to see you," or "get to safety," or something like that, or some kind of connective tissue because they're supposed to be friends.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and he goes, "Nori, Nori."
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he says Nori twice, and then she looks at him wisely, and she turns and slowly walks away with.
Yes,
that's right. With the head of the desert DLSs, and
the Gund.
The Gund. Yeah, she's called the Gund, but don't call her that to her face, or she'll leave you to die in the wilderness. Because that's what they do, by the way. They do this, except because they don't travel, they don't leave you by the roadside. They take you out to a barren spot and they chain you there and then leave you to die. Like they literally carried forward the same theme of this is what hobbits do.
This is the hobbit
culture. They leave people to die as their solution to all their social problems. And so, but anyway, it was the weirdest thing. I was like, who wrote this scene? Like, what? I mean, he's suspending boulders. He could just cast them to the side, or he could say, "It's Nori, it's good to see you," or he could say, "Come with me." But he just yells Nori twice to her, and then she smiles and turns away, and she and the Gund walk off.
And so in this final scene here, and we'll get back to the other Southline scene in a minute with Elendil or Isildur and Esther.
Oh, right. The mud romance.
Poppy here, they're cleaning their smile? Smile? Okay. In any case, they're cleaning their destroyed home. And Poppy is telling us wisely some things are just lost forever. And then we go through all these scenes of this episode, like we mentioned it just a minute ago about Elendil fleeing the burning Romana. Why? We don't know. And then we have this whole scene where they start calling him Gandalf over and over again. Gandalf.
Yeah, so the dirty little sociopaths of the desert have decided he's a grand elf.
He's a grand elf.
And they're so clever. These showrunners are so clever. They find themselves to be so clever. They keep saying that over and over again. And then right after that, we see Gandalf back with Tom Bombadil. And he's like, Gandalf is my name, isn't it?
Gandalf?
Dude.
That's literally how he gets his name, is from...
I feel like my big thought applies to every single one of these notes.
You know what it was? Is they watched that large man in Game of Thrones hold the door.
That's yeah.
And so they got Gandalf, hold the door, Hodor, Gandalf. That's exactly the same sort of thing.
They're so clever. They're so clever. So they're proud of themselves.
So it's at this point when the tree, you can see everything's destroyed there. Gandalf finds his staff lying on the ground in the destroyed.
There's his staff.
Gund tree.
What?
Little teeny hobbits there. And so remember, and what we learned is this: the staff will find you.
Right.
So it's Harry Potter.
Find the staff. The staff finds you.
The shop, right? It's the wand will find you. You don't find the wand. Same sort of idea. Tom Bombadil's been talking about it for multiple episodes now.
All right.
I had a friend of mine who said after that wand, watch the wand scene and not the one. I'm sorry, the finding staff. It was that and 100 other things. He said, you all should really do an episode where you just go back and show at every point how these people have no originality whatsoever. Everything they do is just taken from. And I told them no.
Good. I was like,
I said I will not subject myself to another 18 hours of my life going through this and find a tale to show how crappy they are.
We all have a price, and I do need a brand new M4 MacBook Pro. So whoever is actually willing to. Michael, if you have yours.
If we get 20 monthly subscribers out of this, the full price monthly subscribers.
There you go. Yes.
Then we will do an episode where we will show you all the different books and movies. 20, 50 paid subscribers. If you can find but 10 good men.
So that
biblical about this.
No, I'm not going to do this.
Okay.
I'm not going to do
it. Let's keep going. So at this point, all these because they don't want to rebuild their home, they just decide to leave the home that they've known for generations now.
Yep.
All these stewards are now leaving.
All the sewers are leaving.
All the stewards are leaving them. Gandalf returns to Tom Bombadil's home. There's his staff. He found it. Yay. Wonderful.
Yeah, you have a staff.
Oh, boy.
He returns to Bombadil's home, and we learned that Bombadil was using reverse psychology
all along.
Yeah.
Because he really did want him to go save his friends.
Yeah. So he said,
don't
save your friends,
But I mean,
save your friends.
That's what I really want.
Did you do the right thing? Yeah. Did you disobey the master who's in front of you, who's supposed to be teaching you the whole time?
That's what Obi-Wan did all the time.
That's right. He said,
go do this thing, because he wanted Luke to do the other thing. So that's what a wise master does.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that is what a wise master does if you're the master of a 13-year-old.
Okay.
Because then reverse psychology works on people that are in middle school.
So this is when Gandalf says he found his name. It's Gandalf.
Right.
Which, let me point out, his real name in Valinor is Olorin. Olorin.
I-N, yes.
It's not A-N. Amazon, take that note. You might want to add that to your autocorrect. They put this whole thing out where they spelled it O-L-O-R-A-N. So they misspelled it the whole time.
So, largest company in the world, biggest TV project ever, puts out a piece explaining that Gandalf's really Olorin, and they don't even bother to look up the right spelling.
Spelling is colonialist.
So his real name is Olorin, right? Or the first people he came to, elves, his name is Mithrandir.
Or the second, I don't know if it was the second people, but the dwarves, they called him Tharkun.
Or the men of the south, because this is like connected.
This is where the south, this is where they are.
Ish.
Yeah.
Incanus.
Right. And so Gandalf is really only the name that the northern men said. That's what Gandalf said. It's what the men in the north call him.
And by the men of the north, what we mean is a bunch of dirty sociopaths living in the deserts. Who doesn't know what he is, so they call him a grand elf.
Well, here's because what we know. Dan, here, let me explain this to you. I know you've been silent in your sheer amazement here. Let me explain to you what we believe is going to happen with the dirty little sociopaths. They will, since they were wanderers, as we learned before, they will wander over into the Misty Mountain with Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
And settle in the Shire.
Yeah.
And that's how Gandalf has his name. So they keep calling him Gandalf because that's where they brought his name. But that's the ultimate goal. Is they're finding their home, whereas the elves are all losing their homes, I guess.
Makes no sense.
So then they come together and they sing Tom Bombadil's song.
Yeah. So the last scene that we see of Gandalf and Bombadil, they're sitting down and they're literally singing the first song that we get from Lord of the Rings, where Tom Bombadil's singing about himself in the old forest to the hobbits. Remember that? Yeah. So they just sit there, and Gandalf knows the song about Tom Bombadil. They sing the song about I'm Tom Bombadil. It's basically I'm Tom Bombadil song. Yeah, it's the Ring-a-Ding-Dong-Dillo song. And Gandalf is singing a song about how he's Tom Bombadil, but that's weird. But also, how does he even know the words? Like, it was never taught to him. Also, this is such pathetic catering. They're trying to say to the fans, "Oh, but you fans who've read the books, you know the song." So we finished our season by Tom Bombadil singing a song about himself.
But the song has no meaning with what happened before at all. So it's sort of like, let's sit down and have a cup of tea and sing around the campfire. Why? What does it do? Nothing? It is literally a simple member berry that has no bearing on anything else, just like so many other moments. But the song, why would they they didn't sing before. Why would they get together and sing?
So look, Tolkien loves song, and he uses song all through the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit. But he uses song to enrich the experience. So the hobbits who come upon this new being, Tom Bombadil in the old forest, learn about who he is through his song. It enriches the experience, and then they spend days with him. And so when Aragorn sings the song about Luthien Tinuviel to the hobbits in their journeys, we learn about Aragorn and his heritage, and we learn about the history of Middle-earth. It enriches. This is just like the Balrog, this is just a cheap set piece that the Rings of Power writers sticky tape in on the end of the episode, because remember Tom Bombadil, true readers of Tolkien, or remember the Balrog, or they do this over and over and over again, and so we're in a place where they have no story to tell us, they have no enriching to do, so all they can do is copy paste from things that came before. And it's sad, and it has no resonance with
it. So to sum up the whole Gandalf thing in season 2, from where I left off, they follow their nose, they end up in Rune, and he finds a staff.
They run into Tom Bombadil, Saruman.
How has he changed?
He finds his staff.
What's changed? We know his name, and he has a staff.
And he meets the Dark Wizard.
Yeah, but how's Gandalf changed?
Oh no, no, like
that's it.
That's it.
So
I mean, the Dark Wizard is there.
And was he in every episode of this season?
No.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have fewer than in the first season.
Right.
But it's there's no story here.
Yeah.
There's no development.
Yeah, and they're trying to make the Dark Wizard something that now Gandalf has to fight or do something. I don't even know where they're going to go with that. It doesn't really matter. They end the scene of Gandalf or this part in Rune with the Dark Wizard just standing there in his fortress, looking down,
looking out,
being
like
angry.
Remember Saruman looking down from his fortress, his tower.
All right, so we need to get through this, guys. This is going to be way too long.
And finally,
so
this is our section 2, right?
This is our section 2. So this is now the Southlands. The Númenóreans have landed
in Pelargir. That's Pelargir.
Isildur and Theo, they have a moment here where they're talking about their moms, and we learned that Isildur, his mom died trying to save him, and she drowned in the ocean because the
sea is always right.
The Valar didn't like.
I know that.
Oh, Bronwyn, Theo's mom, the one, the healer of the Southlands, the medicine woman, person who was in love with Arondir.
Yeah.
She died off screen from a wound, poison wound, and that was it. She's gone
because she was wounded at the end of season 1.
Right.
Yes.
And then she just dies. And just doesn't come back.
So he's like, "How do you get over the pain of losing your mother?" And then he says, "You realize you never do." And then they hug, and that's it.
Right.
And then our favorite.
Right. There's some more crying.
There's some more crying between.
Yeah, they cry here than I thought. And then immediately Theo leaves, and then the new love interest appears, Estrid.
Oh.
So Isildur has a love interest based in mud. So this is what Jonathan and I call the mud romance. There's a whole episode where he falls in love with her based on the fact that they get really dirty together.
Mud as they're walking.
They fall into swamps and
real fast.
Well, I mean, I could see that.
Real fast. I mean, so he found her in a caravan of people in a caravan that was destroyed, and she was the last survivor apparently. And so she walks with him. He eventually finds out that she was under Adar, and she's been lying to him the whole time about who she really is. And so he falls in love with her more after he finds out he's been lying.
As one does.
Lying to him.
As one does.
And then
after, as the basis
and then they go together on a quest to what are they questing for again? Oh,
they're looking for the horse.
Are they looking for the horse? Why did they go and get eaten by the thing?
Oh no, Theo got taken.
Theo, they were trying to get Theo. Theo was captured by the Ents.
So
we'll talk about that.
Show up.
Dude, what the hell?
So they fall in love in there. He and Arondir get eaten by some monster and then survive. Then
like a watcher in the water, but it's a watcher in 6 inches of mud.
So after Arondir speaks kindly to the elves and says, asks for forgiveness for ever chopping wood in his whole life to the Ents.
Yep.
Like that's how he gets by the Ents. And Theo is released along with the other Southlanders who've been imprisoned captured by the Ents.
Because that's what the Ents do. They capture you and they put you in a cage and then they just wait.
Woven branches. And so we find out that the same girl Estrid here, she was betrothed to be married. So she lied about who she was. She lied about her relationship.
And it turns out she's married.
And now they're deeply in love after all that.
Okay.
So
Isildur is faced at the end of the last time we saw him with the fact that she was married, and he walks away in sad face because she's really married all along. So now he sees her again, and they declare their love for each other, and he's going to take her away with him.
So Isildur is cool with adultery?
Well, not just adultery. He's stealing another man's wife.
Right.
Like not just sleeping with another man's wife.
Right.
He's actually going to take another man's wife. He's a wife stealer.
Well, he's the new masculinity, the Doug Emhoff.
That's right.
Oh,
who does he punch in the face?
Sorry, guys. Oh.
But it's like they take all these characters from Tolkien that are of nobility or have noble stories, and they're part of the history of Middle Earth.
Right. But
they got to deconstruct everybody and give them flaws and give them all these weird
not just flaws, but make them the worst. The characters that I liked the most in this series, if you want to say it that way, the characters I disliked the least were like Adar, like the evil.
The ones they just make up.
Yeah, I actually ended up empathizing with Adar by the end.
Yeah. Even though it was still hackneyed and
of course
ill done,
yeah.
But. So this is Kemen, the son of Pharazôn. He comes and lands with them. He finds out that Isildur is there. And he's the guy, he's a traitor essentially to Queen Muriel. Isildur at this point doesn't know that Queen Muriel is no longer the queen. they made it over really fast again in a matter of a day.
They teleported over.
They have teleport pads too.
Yes.
Perhaps my favorite scene in this entire episode. You didn't meet Berek the wonderhorse.
Oh yes.
The one that saves Isildur. Remember, Isildur was caught in falling timbers at the end.
Isildur was in the village.
The
volcano exploded.
And we saw him. We thought he was dead because we didn't think he was dead. But.
So young Shelob came over, found him, dragged him over to a cave. Apparently, at some point. We didn't see this. Is all behind the scenes. We didn't see this. And then since nobody could tame Isildur's horse Berek, the Númenóreans just let him go, and Berek goes and sniffs out Isildur in Shelob's cave, which is somewhere in the Southlands here, and saves him by waking him up, I guess, by walking in there and like helping him out. I don't even remember all the details of that. So what's great is Kemen says to Isildur, "I never gave up hope that you would be alive," and Isildur says to him, he says, "There wouldn't be, even when there were no survivors left, I never gave up hope." And Isildur says, "There wouldn't be if not for Berek."
And the camera shifts, and there's the horse. Like literally, the camera swings or the camera cuts, and there's the horse in the background. Like, yeah, that's me. It was so dumb.
Right?
Yeah. They took time to make sure that he gives credit to his horse, and then they cut to the scene where they're looking at the horse.
Okay.
These people are 13, Dan. That's.
Well, while you guys were talking, it struck me that it just seems like this show cannot exist like you're saying without all those member berries. It's like, remember Ents? Well, here's what Ents are doing. Remember Shelob and the spiders? Here's what is.
Yeah, they think all fans want is, I wanted that cool stuff that I used to like. That's what they do with Star Wars. That's what they do with Indiana Jones. That's what they're doing with this here.
Yeah, this is the Lord of the Rings skins.
They forget that
that's what they're doing.
Story matters and character matters.
And they do have that thing in Lord of the Rings with Rohan. Oh, man.
And there's the horse. They're like, if it wasn't for the horse.
And so there is that element in Tolkien and in the movies, Peter Jackson movies, where there's a connection between the horse and the rider.
Of course.
So, I see where they're pulling
They're
from.
trying to do that.
But it's just so ham-fisted.
They don't have the talent to do it.
When they go to save they go to save the horse, right? Yes. Wait. Yeah, they go to save the horse. That's how Theo gets captured. Mm-hmm. And then once they've saved the horse, and they need to go save Theo, they don't bring the horse with them. They're just walking. I'm like, what? You just
spent all that time to save the horse.
This horse is magical and revolutionary. He needs to be there. And this is the crowning moment of he's like, yeah, that was me. I got captured after saving Isildur.
From everyone.
Anyway.
Oh, man.
So Isildur completely accepts that there's no pushback about Farazan being the king. He's like, okay, I get, like, he gets angry, but that's about it. He just accepts it. He's not like,
gets angry for 3 seconds.
How does that happen? Like, how does he become king? She's queen. Like, he just can't. And so there's no.
I mean, look, he knows Númenórean society. I'm sure he figures out.
There was
some large animal showed up somewhere, and Farazan's standing closer, so he's the king now. That's the way it works.
Was it the bird? Was it the great elk of the north?
Was it the sea monster?
Was it the massive rabbit of the east? Or was it the sea monster of the south? Like which one of me? Because I don't know if I do the rabbit or the elk, but if it's the sea monster or the bird, then maybe you got it. So here's how. So now we know that the way that they're going to remove all the timber from the mountains. Remember, this was actually Aldarion who did this originally. I don't know if you read Aldarion and Erendis. We did this earlier this year. That's the unfinished tale. Greatest shipwright, greatest mariner of Númenor. He was the first one to go from Númenor to Númenor to Middle-earth, to establish fortresses there, to meet with the elves, to build ships there. So he actually goes out and they start cutting down all this wood in order to build the ships. He does that in Númenor too, although he's replanting there a lot. Here they're going to meet the whole idea of we're removing all the forests from the Southlands by saying to the remaining low men, they call them, of the Southlands, that they need to deliver a regular allotment of timber from the surrounding forests in order to build their armada. So that's why they're there.
And it's the whole, like, now they're the oppressors.
They're the oppressors.
We're the high men oppressing the low men. and so you're all going to live under our thumb. And if you want supplies from an island which has 1/20th of the supplies of the surrounding land that you live in, but if you want those supplies, then you have to give us lots of timber. And everyone like looks at each other like, oh no, because that means the ants are going to be bad. So they're clearly setting up for next season.
I didn't think about that. That totally like went right over my head. I didn't think about the ants being angry. Oh, they're going to have an ant war.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is probably how the ant wives get lost. If I know these Rings of Power hacks, I know that they specialize in taking a good Tolkien story and then making it the dumbest possible version of itself. So here we are. And that was the end. That's the end of part 2. We're done with the mud romance. Oh, they sail off. Like,
yeah, that's in the last scene there. Theo's upset that the Númenóreans are there, and Isildur is sailing off, looking longingly at Astrid, holding the hand of her husband.
Oh, right. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What the hell?
Okay, wait, no, Dan. Okay, after these episodes, what is
Dan's big thought?
What the hell?
That's about right. Dan's big thought.
Dude.
Okay.
Just what the hell? These people are wrong.
All right, guys.